Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of One Beat, One Take. It's been a few weeks since I recorded an episode, and I decided to close out the month of March with one last episode for this month. So, for this new episode, what I've done is I've downloaded the audio of a track called Drifting in Time by Paul Williams. Now, this is like a spacey, ambient type of song. It's about a minute and 25 or 27 seconds. What I'm going to do is I am going to chop this sample, and what we're going to do is either use these chops and do a transform in order to sample this song into a beat. So I'm going to play the song out, and I'm going to chop the song out, put it into the ESX sampler, and from there I'm going to make a track out of the sample. So what I want to do first is stretch it out, get a little bigger. Then from there we're going to go here, and instead of it on Smart, we're going to put it on Samples. And I'm going to just move this down a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to play this song out and change it from the pointer tool to the scissor tool. And let's find some samples to chop up to put into the sampler. So I'm going to play it out. So what I'm trying to do is come up with the different samples. From there, I'm going to lower the tempo, and I think I'm going to make this either an 80 tempo or maybe a 78 or 75. I think that maybe some trap drums would go well over this sample. Alright, so we have a bunch of chops right here. I'm still going to keep the track anyway while I do this, but so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it from the scissor tool to the pointer tool, and we're going to make this main track on top here a sampler track. We're going to hit edit. Okay, we're going to X this out. We're going to drag all these chops all into this editor. So let's make this a little smaller. Doesn't need to be this big. Highlight all of the sampled chops. Now, I don't believe it's that many chops just because of the fact that I thought at the time when I was chopping it, what if I wanted to, use them specifically as a sample and then just stretch them out or slow them down. So I'm going to just click one shot on all 16 of these chops. Now, like I said, it was a very small song, and that's why there's not that many chops to go through. But it's just an idea. So we're going to drag all 12 of these into this group 2. Have it set for the max poly 1. So if I play this back, so each different chop is on a different key in the sampler. So we're gonna save this track, and it's gonna call this drifting in time sample. Actually, just call it drifting in time. Save. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the tempo. We're going to put this at, I would say, 78 for now. Alright, so we have all these moved down now. So I'm going to mute this. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to hear these samples I have in the piano roll in order to get an idea of how I could start this. See how this sounds. I like this note here, but I feel like I can come up with something a little better, so let's see if I can move this up. That's not bad for now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a drum track to go over this sample. Now, I may change it as we go, but I like how this sounds for now. What I will kind of want to do, and I'll hear it back as I do it, is change the pitch of the sample I have here. Let's raise the volume a little bit of the speaker. Alright, so I'm going to open the ESX24 sampler yet again. And we're going to pick a drum kit to go over that sample. And for this one, I am going to, let's try the Alchemist. Mainly want to try doing like those type of kicks and snares for this sample, and then maybe use like a trap sample kit for the hi-hats. So let's make first the kick and snare pattern. Alright. Let's hear it back in the meantime. Stretch this out a little bit. That's not bad. There we go. Let's hear that back now. And I want to change this real quick. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down. I have an idea for right now, at least for the main melody, but at the same time I want to take that sample and move that as like an intro for this beat. So I'm going to mute this for now, and don't worry, there's still going to be a lot added to it. It's just for temporary sake. Alright, hang on. So let's alright, so we're going to stretch this out a little bit. And I'm going to do is I'm going to let's move some of these down actually. Because we're going to try and do like a transform effect, so that way it stretches out, so we could loop it to the 5 and hear how that sounds transitioning into the sample change. So I'm going to hit this one right here, and hit this as well. There we go. Oh wait, there we go. I'm going to move this all the way to the 3. Let's loop it and hear how that sounds. It could use a little bit of work. So we're gonna move this back here, and let's hear this back and see whether or not I could stretch this out a little bit more. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now move this so that way we can get this all the way to the 5. Let's try it now. Might come off a little faster, but at the same time that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm gonna create a new track. I'm gonna move all of these ones down because I honestly don't think I'm gonna necessarily need them this yet. So I'll move them down. I'm gonna change the pitch of the original sample for the intro. So once again, we do it 5th, add the mix to 100, and let's try it at -2. I don't think that's bad for now. I'm going to duplicate this Alchemist track. I'm going to open the sampler, and you see how we have it where it says Alchemist drum kit. I'm going to scroll down to Lex Luger drum kit, and we're going to add a couple hi-hats into this. Always like to have a beat start with that hi-hat hitting immediately. In a sense, this may actually become a boom bap style beat from how I have it transitioned so far. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the Alchemist drum kit duplicate, and we're going to see if I can find the similar hi-hat pattern to go with it. So let's see what we have here. Alright, so maybe we add a shaker to go into this a little bit, temporarily before the hi-hats come in. I'm gonna have where this would be like where the verses would be, and then from there you can have like a chorus area afterwards. Yeah, I'll say at 11.0 would be a little better. Alright, I'm going to create a new track. Open the sampler. And for this one, we're going to do Ninth Wonder. So the Ninth Wonder drum kit opened. There we go. Gonna have this one repeat, because this is where this is like an area where the verses are. Alright, let's duplicate the ninth track. Let's find a hi-hat. Alright, yeah, that exactly was it. I have it mixed up. So I'm actually going to do is I'm going to duplicate the Alchemist kit and move this hi-hat track for the ninth and move it up. And I'll play the hi-hat I actually wanted to use that I felt was a little better for this. Here we go. This was it. So I'm going to do is I'm going to move the shakers down. The shaker will come in as the beat progresses. So this is without the shaker. And you can hear the hi-hat a little bit better. Alright, so what I want to do now is I'm going to take this sample that I'm using as the main melody and see if we can put a new chop in, so that way it can move forward a little bit to the second half of the main part of the beat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the paste button, and let's see what else we have as far as samples that I have here. Because I have it ending with this one. Let's see what else we have. That one's not bad. I may want to use that one as a transitional one. Alright, so we're going to copy and paste this track sample as we have here. Alright, here we go. We're going to try now and add a little bit more into the beat. Whether we add some hi-hats that could maybe speed up the track. We'll see as we go. Alright, so what I want to do though, I'm going to add a snare roll so that way it goes into the 11 to 13 mark area. So we have it here. I'm actually going to lower the size of these tracks so it's a little easier when copying and pasting them. Alright, so I'm going to do copy, and I'm going to do paste, And from there, I'm going to decide whether or not I should change the sound effect that would go into where I have these snares, if I should use a different snare for the second half of the beat. Alright, we're going to do copy and paste. And let's hear how that sounds. Now it's going to copy and paste the hi-hat here. We're going to add some chants along the way as well. So we're going to take this one here and we're going to duplicate that hi-hat. So we do copy. Right there. And do paste. And let's add another hi-hat right here. Whoops. Hang on a second. Need to get this stretched out. There we go. And we're going to change this hi-hat. Actually, let's shorten that there. We're going to hit the copy button. We're going to use a different hi-hat. And from there, I'm going to decide whether or not to add in some trap hi-hats, or to just keep this as strictly a boom bap style type beat. Now let's hear this back. So you see what I'm doing here, I'm adding some kick drums into the mix. Alright, so now from there what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some chant sound effects. I think that the chant sound effects may come in handy. So what I'm going to do is a software instrument. I'm going to go to the sampler yet again. And we have one here that says chants. We're going to ignore that because a couple of them are missing. Open the piano roll and let's find a chant that might go well with this beat. It's not that noticeable though. Alright, that's not bad actually. I kind of like that one. Let's try adding a couple of hi-hats into the mix. Hear how that sounds. Think I could do a different hi-hat that might go better for those. Let's hear how it would sound if I were to speed up the hi-hats instead of having them at that rate. I actually like how it sounds better sped up. So I'm gonna paste this here, and we're gonna try and see if we could change this slightly. Just gonna delete that, and it's just gonna be a little bit longer. Like I said, I don't want this to, at this point now, the way this beat is sounded overall, it doesn't make me think of a trap beat necessarily. It gives me more of a boom bap style beat. Maybe you could say like a southern like style beat a little bit as well, from when the hi-hats say speed up. You know what, you be the judge as you watch the video. Alright, I'm starting to think that this might not be the best one for speeding up the track. Now let's see if I could use a different snare sound effect that would still work well with this beat. What I'm going to probably end up having to do is lower the volume for the second kicks, snare drums that come into this beat. You know what? I think that second one I just had there sounds a little better, so let's move that back down. Alright, I have no issues with that transition at all. The last thing what I really need to do for this beat is to come up with an area where I would say would be the chorus. So what I'm going to do now is we move the melody down. That's better. I'm also going to mix the song, you know, different plugins to close it out and add the 808. But let's hear what we have here if I wanted to change the melody rather than go back to the original. Hang on, let's see. Let's hear how that would sound. So I'm gonna copy and paste the kick and snare pattern I have up here. And we're gonna hear how that sounds. And then as it progresses, if anything, I'll add the hi-hats to come back in there. Alright, hang on. Let's hear the sounds. Alright, now, so that ends up ending it out. Alright, so I'm going to paste this here. Oh, hang on, yeah, I gotta paste it in the wrong area. Alright, hang on a second. I'm gonna paste it right up here. Alright, so that's just a temporary one we got here. Alright, let's copy and paste the sped up one of the hi-hats. So we've got the two that appear up twice. We're gonna once again add those hi-hats in effect. Let's create a track actually real quick for a snare roll once again. We're gonna hear how that sounds, and then hopefully that will hopefully that will transition into where the beat will repeat for a second verse area. So we have right here. Hang on a minute. This is annoying me. There we go. Alright, now hang on a second. What I also want to do is I want to see if I could use a different snare, since I used a different one for so don't get them mixed up. So we're going to take these hi-hats here. At the 25 mark, we're going to hit paste. Let's hear how this sounds. Hang on, let's add the shaker. Let's hear it with the hi-hats back added in with the chant effect. Alright, so I think we pretty much got the idea of the overall beat. So what I want to do now, before I move into mixing this, is I'm going to have to create a separate track specifically for the kick and the snare, since we have them on both tracks. So I'm going to duplicate this, and it may take me a couple of minutes, but you know, bear with me. I'm going to paste all of these and sort these out, so that way before we begin the mixing process. Alright, so all these tracks above here are going to be the kicks, and then the ones at the bottom are going to be the snares. So to make this a little easier, delete. Now which ones ended up did all of them or did some of them? Let's see. Alright, not all of them did. I think only a couple of them ended up. But that's fine. Might just take me a couple extra minutes. A couple more. Alright, you know what, I think we got all the kicks on their own track. Now we just got to do that for the snares. And you know, then from there, then it's mixing time. Right here. Alright, so now we're going to do the snare drums on their own track. So we're going to hit the delete here. And let's find them in order. Alright, so this one just has the snares on there. Just got a couple more. Alright, there we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower the volume on these snare track. Let's have it at 5 now. Oh, hang on. Actually, no. I'll add the tag in, maybe like in the middle of the mix process. All right. So first, we're gonna do is we're gonna add EQ. And you know the drill if you've seen some of the previous videos. Stick to a lot of the same plugins as I do this. I'll stick with drum mix. You know what? I got a better idea actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down so it's duplicated. May have to change it along the way, but I'm gonna have this layered with the snare that I had on the first track, so that way, you know, it has a little bit of similar, you know, sound to it. So I'm gonna do the paste. Alright, let's find that one I was previously using. Right there. Let's do it for this one as well. Now let's hear it back with that layered now onto it. That's a lot better. I think that sounds a lot more crisp. And as an overall track, I actually like this one a lot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add an EQ. And for the snare, let's hear how cleanup snare sounds first before I make any judgment. I'll go with that for now. I'm gonna add some compression. Alright, so I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this so it's mixed, and I'm gonna add this, move that track up for the kick, and then for the snares, and we're gonna lower the volume so it already now has those plugins already mixed in. So we had it at 5. Let's put this at 10. I'm gonna change it actually. For now, we'll go with the soft one. See if I can find something better, actually. Because I feel like I could come up with something a little harder hitting. Alright, so we're going to add a VCA snare, and that's going to be very hitting, and we're going to have to lower it a lot, I would say. Just because I know how it sounded in the past. Now, hang on a second before I move a little forward. Let's hear how a different snare would sound with that. I like how that sounds a little better. I've got a little bit of a better idea I might do. We're going to copy and paste this one right here in the same track that we have it layered. And we're going to have the area where the chorus would be layered as well. Alright, so let's move this down. If anything, I might raise the volume from 24. Hear how it sounds maybe at 22. Lower this a little bit to 6, and then maybe move this up to 23. Let's hear it back now. I'm gonna create a new track actually. I definitely think the volume's a little overpowering at the beginning. You know, it's fine now, actually. Alright, so we got the main part now with the kick and snare. So that's really just gonna leave mixing the main melody, the chants, and hi-hats. So, alright, so these are all the, alright, those are all the snares, kicks and snares. So let's do this hi-hat one first. Do I want to do vintage, or, you know, I'm not going to do vintage. I'll do a standard hi-hat and hear how it sounds first. Along the way I may lower the volume. Alright, I like how that sounds so far. Alright, so I'm going to move the shakers up. We're going to change the sound for the shakers a little bit. The shakers we had at 11, let's move them. Let's change this to vintage hi-hat. Put it back to the original. So you can see what I did there now. We got the mix added now for the shakers to go with the hi-hats. Alright, now from there, what do we have here? Alright, this is a completely empty track. We can delete this one. Alright, so now we got these hi-hats. The open hi-hats. So let's go with the EQ. And for this one, we'll do it at standard hi-hat EQ. Let's play it back. Alright, so we got that taken care of. Alright, hang on, I gotta fix this one. Just make sure we got this. Yeah, alright, that's correct. Alright, so let's do these hi-hats. Alright, there we go. So now let's just add the compression. And then all we really have left for this beat is just for me to add my tag and add the 808s and mix the chant. So let's hear this back from the beginning. Oh, and the melody as well. Let's move this to -8. What I'm gonna do is actually no, I'll just do it manually. Alright, so let's add some effects for the chants. So we're gonna lower the volume for this. Put it at 10. Alright, so we have it on this. All we have to do now is just duplicate it. We're gonna move this haze up. And just lower the volume of the haze. Yeah, I think 12 might be fine. Alright, so now here's a little bit of a difficult part for me that I've had in the past, and that's coming up with the right mix for the main melody. So the first thing I like to always take care of is adding the reverb. From there, let's focus on finding an EQ where it won't, change the beat too much. Let's try grand piano. Alright, so that's not bad at -7. Let's see what else we have we can try. try grand piano 3. You know what? I think I'm fine with that as the overall, mix for the melody. So all's left is the 808 and also adding my tag. So I'm gonna just move this on down, and let's get the tag. Got it right here. All right, let's move this back here. Ah, shit. All right, do edit undo. All right, let's scroll down when I do it so that way it doesn't interfere. There we go. Alright, much better. Alright, so I'm gonna move this all the way here so that way go there. I'm gonna delete audio 2. Audio 2 is all the samples from the track earlier on that I thought I had an idea of using but didn't bother. So I'm gonna hit delete on that. Alright, let's add some reverb onto the tag. I'm gonna put that at the 70. 72 is fine. Let's hear how this sounds.
K.Y.S.
Alright, that's fine. So all is left now is just adding the 808s and copying and pasting the verse area so that way we can give it a second verse. Alright, so I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new track. We're going to go into the ES2 synthesizer 2. And as I've shown in previous videos, hang on a second. I'm going to go to tutorial settings, analog saw, but hang on. Analog saw init. There we go. I'm going to move this to a sound wave right here for FM. Turn this to mono. Let's add some distortion. We have the drive, increase that up. I think that over there is fine. We're going to turn this off and make this envelope 1 and increase this all the way up. Lower this down all the way to, let's put it at 18. Raise this one all the way up, or at least pretty high up. Increase this just a little bit there. Alright, and let's make this, increase this just a little bit. Alright, so I'm gonna copy and paste the kicks. We're gonna try and time them, layer them with the 808. So let's hear this back. Alright, so we're gonna have to lower the volume for this. Yeah, we got a -6, probably gonna have to lower it even more, but let's go with this in the meantime. Let's hear how it sounds. I think I might have a little bit too much drive. Oh, hang on a second. Got it off there. Let's hear it back. trying to make it so that way you can definitely hear the bass in there. Alright, so let's do paste. Let's just do it for the rest of layer the rest of them. I'll increase it just for the sake so that way you can hear the 808s as I do it. I'm gonna copy and paste it again right here. Alright, and now we just have to do a couple more. And then I can do the copy and paste and we'll hear it back. Alright, now the last ones. Let's open the piano roll. There we go. And then we got one last one, which if I'm not mistaken, it might actually be the exact same same pattern. I might not have needed to copy and paste that one. Alright, let's hear that one. Alright, here we go. Let's hear that back. You know what, I got an idea. I'm gonna lower the drive a little bit, and I'm gonna show the original technique I used in the previous installments. We're gonna add a limiter, increase it all the way, and we're gonna put this at -1 dB. I'm gonna add EQ, nothing on it. Gonna raise this one all the way up high. There we go. And what's right there? And then we gotta lower this all the way down some more. Hear it back now. Oh, hang on a sec. A little bit too much than I expected. If I'm not mistaken, it's because I had the drive up. I'll turn the drive down. Let's hear it back. Now if I add some drive, let's hear how it sounds. Alright, you could still hear the 808 in there, so I think that's what mattered. I mean, it was really a hard choice between using the EQ and limiter versus just increasing the drive. I felt like the drive still wasn't able to hear it as well because of the sample. If the sample, you know, overpowered the beat. Now, hang on a second. How much of it? Alright, I didn't fully copy and paste it. Alright, I did undo. Alright, so we're gonna copy and paste this for a second verse area. And that way we can shorten it and we can hear it back to make sure it transitions right into where a second verse would be. Let's try it again. Let's go back to 29. Let's hear it back now. There we go. Now I got it. Took me a couple tries there. Alright, so last thing I'm going to do before I save it is I'm going to stretch this back to get it to end where the second verse will end. You know, what I could do is I could make this into 3 verses even. I think I'll do that just to, you know, play it safe. Alright, so we got it right here. And we had it, stopped it right here at the 29. So I'm going to do copy and let's paste it at the 53. There we go. And let's move this down. Yeah, we have it at 78. So I'm gonna save this now. File, save as. And this was called Drifting in Time, which was by Paul Williams. So I'm gonna call it Drifting in Time sample beat. I thought it was a really good sample to use for this video. And alright, we're gonna hit copy, hit OK. There we go, and it's saved. Alright, so this concludes this episode of One Beat, One Take. That concluded the month of March. Hoping to do a couple more you know, new installments during April. If I don't have any in April, you could expect some, you know, later in the spring, in May. So, you know, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys with a new video very soon. Peace.